I had just written an article 2 weeks ago about the guy who was the Olympic doctor for the women's gymnastics team, the Ustad Nasser, and my contention is, of course, you're angry at him. That is a human. He has there are some psychological issues there that is a bad human. Period. I mean, you can agree with that. My contention is that I blame the parents, and I know that's a tough pill to swallow because as a society right now, we've because of where we are in the information age and the lack of involvement and personal contact, that people have pushed off your responsibility as a human being to take care of yourself on someone else. It's always someone else's fault. It's always someone else's problem. You always expect someone else to rescue you. Hey, when the shit hits the fan, if you're not prepared, you're going to be severely disappointed. And the events that happened down in Florida, tragic. How much could have been done to prevent? Well, the kid's background, what are his parents doing? What are people that are around him doing? What are parents who saw kids? If you notice, your kids are on social media now. It's cool that we have technology now that is bringing the entire world together. Don't disregard what's going on. Everybody is so afraid to hurt someone else's feelings now. How many people, and I've seen this from, because I've worked with law enforcement for so many years, is that, and all my guys that are in law enforcement will tell you, the time to regret that you didn't do anything is not after. You need to do something. There needs to be more proactive involvement, one for the parents. The mentality of the school system right now, I've seen, because I've talked to a lot of people who actually work in public schools right now, and even some of the private schools, the policies and procedures that are in place to protect your children are, I'll use the term, grossly inadequate, and they are delusional. Where I take everyone, you can look from anywhere in Sandy Hook to things that have happened today, and there are a lot more things that have gone on that people don't know about, that weren't publicized. When you think that locking yourself in a room and huddling 22 kids in a corner is safety, you're mistaken. You're sadly mistaken. And if you want to pull that little blanket up over your head and hide from it, go ahead. The harsh reality is that that's not going to assuage your distress when something does happen. For me, people ask me all the time, they go, what would you do if you had a child? And I said, well, one is that, and Corinna had mentioned before, is we're going to have that discussion. There are bad people in the world. I've had this discussion. I had these discussions with my parents when I was growing up. There are bad people in the world, and they may do bad things. You need to keep your head up and pay attention to what's going on and operate. Here's what you do in an emergency situation. If this happens, you do this. If this happens, you do this. Is it tough to have, is it unfair that you have a little kid? And I consider kids that are 14, 15, you're a little kid. You're not an adult. You're not at that point, especially if they don't have a lot of responsibility in their life, you're not an adult, and it's tough to understand that they will do those things. Give them some type of direction rather than huddling in a corner. There's so much lack of consequences to anything that goes on, and responsibility that these kids don't know how to, a lot of times, don't know how to care for themselves. And they push that responsibility off to someone else because someone else has done that for them. While it's great in theory, and it's nice to have that ability, it doesn't teach them grit. It doesn't teach them self-reliance. I know kids that were in, if you look at the reports from the Virginia Tech shooting, there were people that were shot on the ground while the shooter fumbled with his weapon reloading, because they just laid on the ground and cowered. Will everybody be a hero in a situation like that? You never know. And if you say you would, you wouldn't know, but at least you have a mindset going in. What you're not giving your kids and what you need to give them is a mindset that it's okay to defend yourself. I know we've gotten to the point right now, it's you kids get suspended for saying the word fight. That's horrible. What you're teaching them is to be a victim. And if you want to continue to do that, that's up to you. I would go back. If I had a little kid, I'd tell them to do this. If you're in the room and something bad happens, one, listen to the teacher. The teacher should know what to do. I also want you to do this. Go grab something sharp. If it's a pen, it's a pair of scissors or what have you. We'll practice hiding games at the house to where you hide in a corner and you get close and you try and hide to where you can come out. If you need to, you're gonna have to fight. And you take that bad person, you stab them. I'll show you where to stab them. in the groin or in the legs or whatever you need to do to fight that bad person doesn't take you away from me or your friends, and you protect them, and you got to have that conversation. Otherwise, whatever you receive is, I'm sorry to say that's what it deserves. So is it bad that they have to do that? Yes. If you look at kids, because I have Benny Cohen that is here as an instructor at the school, from Israel. He served in the Givati, which is Marine Desert Recon Israeli Special Forces. When they go over to Israel, kids over there, because they have bombings, there's kids over there that do gas mask drills. And bombings happen all the time. And they do this. They head to the shelter. And you go, oh my God, that would be so scary to do that every day. They're talking, they're hanging out with each other. When the air raid siren's done and the threat's over, they go back to their life. But they're prepared every day to do those things. Is it bad that they have to prepare to do that? Absolutely. However, what are you going to do? Not prepare?
Like a fire drill.
I can't do this my entire life. This is, it's a fire drill. So there's a lot of people, and I would have to say this to you too. This is for any parent or person that would have a kid to work with this. Is there are a tremendous amount of people out. There's a tremendous amount of information out in the world right now, and there's a tremendous amount of misinformation out in the world right now. There's a lot of garbage out on the internet and people that train people. We've seen it as far as firearm training, fight training, anything that we do. Educate yourself, go out and look, go talk to, I guarantee you this, knowing police officers, you could contact any local police department and go, hey, I'm interested on hearing what your thoughts are as far as school safety, things that we could do, things that I could talk to my kids about. I guarantee you almost every single one of them has some type of free program as far as safety, safety at home, safety at school, and take advantage of that. Take an active approach in your kid's life to do what you can to prepare them, at least prepare them.
And teach your kids that it's okay to speak out if they feel concern about something. You know, don't be afraid to be that one person who speaks up because, you know, this situation is making them feel weird, or this person said something that's making them feel weird. You know, when we look, you know, Gavin de Becker has a wonderful book called The Gift of Fear, and he was, a lot of it is how our intuition not only is there to designed to save your life, your intuition is your body's way of taking you from point A to point Z, skipping everything in the middle and just giving you what you should do without giving you why you should do it. Okay, I don't feel good about this. It didn't tell you why you don't feel good about it. It just says, hey, do something because this isn't right. Figure it out later why it wasn't right. If something doesn't feel right, kids need to know to trust themselves. They need to understand that feeling is a self-defense mechanism that was, you know, you have evolved with, okay, to keep you alive. And we're so afraid. We're such a polite society that it's killing us. You know, we're so afraid to speak out and seem rude or seem like we're a tattletale or seem paranoid. But you know what? If that kid was showing pictures of guns to you know, on the school bus and was saying how he was going to use them, or it made you feel uncomfortable, say something.
I'm going to be a famous school shooter.
Yeah, say something. You know, don't be afraid to be the one person to speak out, because chances are, if you're feeling that way, other people are feeling that way too. And in this book, Gavin de Becker was saying some of the ways that people will fight with their intuition is rationalization. Oh, I don't want to seem like I'm I'm thinking ill of this person because of some other reasons. They'll say things, people have been killed by bombs, and have joked about the package the bomb was in and been like, well, I hope that's not a bomb. Dark humor, that kind of thing. People know if something is wrong. Don't fight your instincts, because they're there for a reason. They're there to keep you alive. So it's okay. It's okay. That is, because even if you think something's wrong, if you don't act on it, that might have been your only opportunity to defend yourself, realistically.
Absolutely. As we always tell women, every time I do a women's self-defense seminar, if you're out somewhere and a guy seems creepy, he's creepy. And act on that. What's interesting is you'll have that same rationalization go through the head. Oh, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm having a bad day. Maybe it's this situation. Trust. You need to trust what's going on in there. What is always interesting to me too is that the talk about this kid that perpetrated this is it's always an after the fact. Well, here are all the signs and things that have gone on. It's not something to where you have to go, I wouldn't say capture, but structure this person or hem this person in or pen this person up or lock them away and do these things. This kid just didn't wake up one morning and go, I'm gonna go kill a bunch of people. This is something that has happened. It's cumulative. It's I call it the shovel full of dirt method. 1 or 2 shovel full of dirt laying on you, not a big deal. About 1,000, it becomes a problem. Somebody can be laying in the street bleeding, and you'll go help them. I guarantee people will go over and help them. They see somebody struggling mentally that has issues like that, and what they try to do to that person is sequester them. They try to push them away. They try and keep them away from people when they're not doing something to help them. If help could be therapy, help could be medication, help could be removing that person from the situation, removing them from that school completely. But again, after the thought or after the fact is not the time to take and look at hindsight's always 20/20, always 20/20. And that's not the time to assess the situation. Start to look at those things. The last thing I would say is this. We have a lot of media attention. I've done interviews with every single TV station here in town multiple times. They've been out here to our school. I've done them live in their studio. Generally, the people that I've met that work for any of the news stations have been outstanding people. This is a proven fact. If you look at suicides with young kids, now the stuff with the shootings, this is a proven fact that the more publicity that these events are given, the more copycats you have. And that to me unfortunately, it's done to sell advertising as people want to sensationalize what's going on. If people would go, well, I want to be informed. Well, what are you doing with the information once you see this happen? Do you sit there and do this? Oh my God, this is horrible. Somebody should do something. That somebody's you.